Hey, how you doing? This is Tom, and this is Tom's Radio Room Show. No, it's not the Preacher Man. Well, it's the Preacher Man on my radio. I've got it set up this morning of my SDR Play SDR and my 31 foot vertical antenna. It's 5:30 in the morning, and we're in Clearwater, Florida. And the bands have improved the past couple of days. The solar flux index has been like 72 for like 3 or 4 days. There are some sunspots coming and going. These are all good signs that shortwave propagation may improve. I'm not going to say should improve, may improve for 2020. So I thought I'd come down here in my workshop and see how the things are going. Seem to be going pretty good. I scanned just for a few minutes. This is Preacher Man on 3.215, coming in very clear. Not that I wanted to listen to him, but he's very clear. So we're going to do a little bit of scanning this morning, kind of see what the status of shortwave is. So I'm going to turn this back on and see what we can find. And shut up so you can listen. Here we go. That's Canadian WWV, or their equivalent. Now, I haven't been able to get that for quite a while, so that's definitely an improvement. And typically what I do is I'll use these SDRs to listen to noise. Come on, find him. There he is. Okay, we'll pause and we'll mute to find stations, because the beauty of this software-defined radios is you can have databases like this. This is a database that I made. I made it from the EIBI database, which is a database of all the frequencies, all the stations on shortwave. Now this is several months old, so I haven't updated it. And this is everything above 2 megahertz, and I removed all the duplicates from the database. And I just let this thing scan and see what it finds and note what it found. And then if conditions are good, if this is showing me conditions are good, I'll go over to, like in my workshop, I got Big Bertha, the Grundig Satellite 800, and I'll use that to listen to a particular station that I'm interested in. Not Brother Stare, but other stations that I'm interested in, because the sound quality on that radio is much better than the cheap speakers I got hooked up to my computer. So that's kind of what I do. Also, if I'm up in my office, I've got my Grundig 750, which will scan the entire shortwave band, kind of like what I'm doing here. But what I'm doing here is I'm scanning this memory bank and only these frequencies, which are supposedly frequencies that are stations on the air. Now, like I say, this particular database is 3 or 4 months old. So some of these stations are either not on the air anymore, or they're just not on right now. So even though there's thousands of entries, I think there's like 1,500 entries, you're not going to find that many, because, like I say, they're not on the air, they're completely shut down, conditions are not perfect. But anyway, I'm going to stop babbling. We're going to let this thing search. Here we go. I can remember how to turn it back on. WWV, 5 megahertz. And the beauty is I can see up here from this database what the station is, or could be. Now it says Russian spy numbers, but obviously it's not. Probably not China radio either. Probably not Radio Eura. Okay, it's passed. I think that's the mission down in the Caribbean. That's Spanish. I said I wasn't going to jabber. I'll stop. I'll just point. That was Canada.
De El Salvador, no existe ninguna referencia acerca de la Navidad en todo el Nuevo Testamento. De hecho, las únicas celebraciones que oímos hacer referencia como
Moscow. That's what it says. I'm not sure it was. If that was Moscow, it was strong, but I'm not sure that. It definitely was a weather WWV type station, or time station. I think I said weather before. I meant time station. I wonder if that was really Moscow, because there is a time station for Moscow, as you saw from the database. I'm going to let it go up to about 15 megahertz and then stop, because this time in the morning I don't get much above 15 megahertz. Here we go. Okay, we're going to stop this. We'll pause it. I correct myself. One thing I said earlier is I created this database. Actually, one of my very generous subscribers took the EIB database. Now, the EIB database has all these frequencies, but it also will put in what I call duplicates showing other programs that are on a particular station on a particular frequency. So you get what I call duplicates. So what this gentleman did, he's very knowledgeable of Excel, is he wrote a little macro in Excel that removed all those duplicates. So there was only one entry per station per frequency. And then there was a little quirk about it. I can't remember. Oh, there was some, because of the way Excel had some of the data, when it was imported to this program, some of the entries were scrambled because there were some extra quotation marks. So I cleaned those up. So that's where this came from. The majority of the work was done by a subscriber to generate this, not me. Okay, so clear that up. The other thing is I have put in, 3 or 4 months ago when they first came out with this scanning capability on SDR Uno, I put in a couple of requests for additional features on scanning. And one was that when it's scanning, when it hits a station, when it actually stops in the database, this database here, excuse me, it will have a column called hits. So then you can go back and see, you can leave the room and come back and see what frequencies it found something. Now it could be noise, as you saw several times it found noise. And then you could take and make a smaller database of known stations that you've heard on your radio, your setup this time of day. But so far, they haven't done that. Another suggestion was in the configuration here, you can have it saved to memory panel while it's scanning. So if it finds a strong signal above the threshold right here that you can set, just set right here, it will save it to the memory panel. Well, the problem is you don't want to overwrite your nice, well-prepared database here. What would be nice if you could specify a new memory panel. So it's using this one to scan, and then with this option turned on, it would save to another memory panel so that when you got done, you would have a memory panel, excuse me, of stations found during the scan. But they haven't gotten to it. They've been very busy with the software upgrade for the new receivers. So that's it. So we did a scan. Unfortunately, let me close this. Unfortunately, I have no record of which ones were found. Now, I could have done a record, but when you turn on record, it records the dead time too. That's my understanding, unless they've changed it. So I would have to scan again and then on a piece of paper write down what stations it found. I would, when I found one, I would do a pause. I'd write down the frequency and the station and everything, and then let it continue. So I'd have to do it manually. I'd like to be able to do that automatically, as I described before. But it doesn't exist yet. Hopefully they will add some kind of feature like this, because I love this scanning feature that they've added. It's really cool, especially when you're looking for frequencies as opposed to just listening, which shortwave wise, I do a lot of looking. And then, if I find something interesting, I'll listen, but I do a lot of looking. Now, this is not doing a scan of every frequency between, say, 2 megahertz and 30. It's only scanning these frequencies right here in this database. So other signals that could be out there, I'm missing. So keep that in mind. And then Mike, who works for SDR Play, does a lot of videos. He generated most of these other ones himself and made them available for download. And he's got all kinds of things here. He's got USA VH marine frequencies, VOL MET. He's got the WeFax frequencies, got broadcast frequencies, CB frequencies. He's got a bunch of them. I've created maybe, in a lot of cases, with the help of somebody else. Now, some of these are just range scans that I saved. The other thing you can do, just as a reminder, is this is the memory scan. So you load a memory database, you click on one of these, you load a memory database, and you go into the memory scan mode, and it scans all these frequencies. Another way is a range scan, where you pick 2 ranges, and it scans the entire range. Let's just go do that real quick, and then we're done. So I could go to range. Oh, I stop. I could go to range, and then I go up here to scanner configuration, and I could put the start and stop frequencies and the step rate. So here's one I set up. I call it HF band T1, where it scans from 3.5 to 17 megahertz. And then you can specify other things. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to let it scan one more time, and then I'll call it quits, and kind of make a quick decision of whether the bands have improved. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start from scratch. Scan. That's one hit. I'm counting the hits. And these are only frequencies in this database. I call it 2, but it was off frequency. Nope, just noise. At the time it stopped. Yeah, noise. 3.
Toll free 1-888-3.
That's WWV. Clap 4. 5. Even though it's Spanish, it's probably close by. Noise. Noise.
French Église from about
6.
11th century there, from where we get in our Greek New Testament ecclesia, which the closest thing we might get to in the English language is assembly. But this Greek word is kind of a great compact word. Ek.
Pero a causa de los
7.
incendios forestales, lo que Carlos
8.
para incausarse de una de sus computadoras, pero los abogados
9. Same one. 10. Same. Noise. $11. The noise level go up. 12. 13. 'Not too many of them far away. And once again, I'm using my 31-foot vertical antenna from MFJ.
Y yo seré su Dios.
14.
Y ellos serán mi pueblo, y no tendrán que enseñar más cada uno
Same,
a
I
su
think.
prójimo.
Didn't sound like Brother Stare. 15. 16. 'Now, if I use the record function, I wouldn't have to stay here and watch this. I could go do something else and then play it back. Pretty dead right there. Like I say, in the morning, anything above 11 megahertz, I'm not going to get much. So I'm going to stop it here because I've babbled long enough. So I got about 15 stations. I would say there are at least 6 of them were sounded like Spanish local stations, like maybe somewhere in Florida or Cuba, somewhere down there. I'm gonna say things have improved slightly. The fact that I was getting the the Canadian weather stations. I haven't gotten them in a long time. I got Brother Stare on quite a few frequencies. Typically, they're being transmitted out of Tennessee. That's not unusual to get those. I did see that previous pass, it was indicating that it was the time signal from Russia. Now, that could be a mistake. I think it is. It was definitely a time signal. Maybe from Canada. I don't think it was from Russia. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to say slight improvement on shortwave listening right now, this morning, today. If you enjoyed this show, please give me a thumbs up. If you like me to do these scans periodically, I'll be glad to do them. Just let me know in the comments and give me a thumbs up. That's another indication you enjoyed me doing this and you didn't fall asleep. Or maybe you needed to fall asleep. That's it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.